my name is Darcell East, and this is the 40 for 40 challenge. Thank you, Angel, and the God-Shaped Woman community. So excited to share with you today on one of our heroes, Esther. I really love her story because it shows us how purpose can be hidden in our obedience. Esther was known as a very submissive and obedient woman, and we can see all that throughout chapter 2, which we'll talk about. One thing I want to talk about, Oxford defines purpose, and Oxford says the purpose is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. And the fact that Esther was an orphan, it gives us the sense that God was up to something. Her life to me seemed to be a bit of a seed. You know, she lost her family, and then God plants her in a place where she has the power to save all the Hebrew families from genocide. That to me is a beautiful picture of how God takes our traumas and things in our life and plants us in a place to be fruitful and to cause purpose to come out of us. But one thing I'll say, her obedience to Mordecai really set her apart and was the main reason that she was able to find favor and become queen. Mordecai's name means servant of Marduk. It actually was embedded in him, servanthood. And he embedded servanthood and obedience in Esther so deeply. We can see case after case, moment after moment. Here in chapter 2, verse 10, it says, Esther had not revealed her people to her or family, for Mordecai had charged her not to reveal it. So she obeyed. Verse 14 says, she would not go in to the king again unless the king delighted in her and called for her by name. Very submissive. Verse 15, it says, now when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter, to go into the king, she requested nothing but what Haggai, the king's eunuch, the custodian of the women, advised. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her. So once again, she was still obeying. Years and years of learning to obey. Verse 20 in chapter 2 says, now Esther had not revealed her family and her people, just as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther obeyed the command of Mordecai as when she was brought up by him. So I just love how Mordecai's a sense of a hero, because he taught her the most important things to bring her into her purpose when she was very, very young. And so I just really want to speak to how God causes us to obey up to the point where we, the student, can become the teacher. We find ourselves finding purpose and having that tipping point when we've been trustworthy and proven in our obedience for years and years, to where we now can have the influence because we've obeyed. I love how the story turns on its head. Chapter 4, it says, verse 11, all the king's servants, this is Esther speaking, and the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law, put all to death except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go into the king these 30 days. So Esther had a moment where she was obeying, even without going into the king's courts. She only knew to obey. And so this is her moment, because Mordecai responds by saying to her, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? So Esther kind of discerns the push from her father figure, Mordecai. And in her discernment, she had learned to obey so well that she got it. My obedience to God is more important than my life right now. And so she responds by saying, go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise. And so I will go to the king, which is against the law. Against the law. And if I perish, I perish. Esther found what her obedience was for. Her obedience was for the right moment where she could step into purpose and speak. If she perishes, she perishes. That wasn't something foreign to her. She was an orphan child. I want to talk to you today. I want you to know that there is a point, a tipping point in your life where your obedience will cause you to come into being the teacher. It will cause you to come into a space where now you have influence and a voice, where now you're the person that's calling the shots. It's so important to understand that's what our purpose is birthed out of, fierce obedience. So I think most of us are familiar with our names being called for disobedience. But what about the moment where God's ready to call you into purpose for your obedience, to single you out for your obedience? That is the woman, the God-shaped woman that you are. You're the one who obeys all the way up to and through the tipping point. You're the one that obeys when it's hard. You have courage. You obey when it's popular. When it's not popular, you're still going to obey. And that's the God-shaped woman you are. So remember, your obedience is what is qualifying you for purpose, to walk in purpose. Your obedience is what gives you the sense of identity. It's what causes you to learn the things. It causes you to see yourself. So I just want to encourage you today, don't stop obeying. Obedience is your qualification for purpose. Obedience teaches you enough until you become the teacher. Thank you.